Humans were forbidden from mythic ships, but I found one in a scrap auction. Eliara wiped the grease from her hands and stared at the endless debris stretching across the asteroid ring. Jagged pieces of metal, broken engines, and burnt-out hulls of old starships floated in chaotic silence. To most, this place was nothing but a graveyard, a forgotten corner of the galaxy. But to Eliara, it was a gold mine. Humans were not welcome here. The alien empires that dominated the stars had made it very clear no human was allowed near advanced technology, especially mythic ships, the legendary vessels that could bend space, harness energy in ways no ordinary ship could, and sometimes, it was said, think almost like their pilot. For centuries, humans had been considered too primitive, too weak, too unpredictable to ever control such machines. Eliara, however, had a different plan. She crouched behind a massive slab of broken metal, her eyes scanning the auction platform. A dozen alien drones hovered above, their sensors sweeping the debris for trespassers. The auction was a rare event, held in secrecy every few years, where ancient ships and technology were sold to the highest bidder. Humans were strictly forbidden, but rules, as Eliara often reminded herself, were meant to be challenged. She had no wealth to speak of, just scraps she had salvaged over months of dangerous work. But she had brains, cunning, and nerves of steel. And sometimes, that was enough. Her eyes caught something unusual. Amidst the rusted wreckage, a hole gleamed in a way that made her heart race. It was sleek, aerodynamic, and unlike any ship she had ever seen in the scrapyards. Its surface shimmered faintly under the asteroid's reflected light, almost as if it were alive. Her pulse quickened. A mythic ship. No human had seen one in centuries. To even approach one was suicidal. But Eliara had grown up hearing the stories of her grandfather, who once told her about the ships that could outthink entire fleets of alien warships, that could sense danger, anticipate moves, and even manipulate energy in ways humans had barely begun to understand. And now, one of those ships was right in front of her. She checked the drones. Their sensors were programmed to detect lifeforms like hers, but if she moved slowly and kept to the shadows, she could get close enough to place a bid, and maybe even win. She tightened her grip on the control pad she had built herself, a small device capable of spoofing sensor readings. The auction began. Alien voices rang out in a guttural language, numbers and codes flashing on holographic screens. Ships were being sold, old but valuable to the highest bidders. Eliara's heart raced as the bidding for mundane freighters and cargo haulers escalated. She ignored them. Her eyes were fixed on the mythic ship, a tall alien with metallic armor and 3 eyes that glowed faintly, floated toward the bidding console near the ship. Eliara's stomach nodded. It was the type of species that could smell a human from 100 meters away, and they were known for their deadly precision in dealing with intruders. She took a deep breath. Slowly, she activated her device, sending a subtle wave of interference to mask her presence. The alien hesitated, sensing something, but dismissed it as a minor sensor glitch. Eliara's fingers danced over her console. She submitted a bid using stolen currency she had risked months collecting. The holographic numbers blinked. No response. The alien seemed uninterested. She tried again. Higher. Faster. Her hands shook, but she forced herself to stay calm. The final call came, and somehow, against all odds, her small bid was accepted. The ship was hers. Her heart leapt, but her victory was only the beginning. As she approached the vessel, the hull pulsed, a faint hum vibrating through the asteroid. The ship seemed aware. Eliara froze. It was subtle at first, just a gentle vibration, like the ship was breathing. Then she felt it, a tug at her mind, not strong, but insistent, as if the ship was testing her. "You belong here," she whispered, half to herself, half to the ship. The hum strengthened, almost like a response. Eliara realized with a thrill and fear that this was no ordinary ship. It reacted to her presence, to her thoughts, to her intent. A mythic ship, bonding with a human. That was something the galaxy had not seen before. Her celebration was cut short. The auction drones began to detect anomalies. Red lights flashed, Alarms blared in the distance. The alien overseers turned toward her direction, their 3 eyes narrowing. Eliara had no time to think. She leapt into the ship, pressing her hands against the controls. The interior was alive with energy, holographic displays flashing, energy conduits humming with power she had never imagined. "Hello?" she asked hesitantly, unsure if the ship could hear her. A voice, soft and resonant, echoed in her mind. "Hello, human. You may be worthy." Eliara's eyes widened. She wasn't dreaming. The ship had a consciousness, and it was testing her. She tried to focus, to understand the controls. The alien drones were closing in, ready to destroy any human daring to touch a mythic ship. Come on, she muttered. With a sudden burst, the ship obeyed her. Energy surged along the hull, and with a roar, it lifted from the debris field, twisting and weaving through the floating metal like a living creature. Lasers fired from security drones, but the ship responded instantly, manipulating energy shields and repelling the blasts with impossible precision. Eliara felt a surge of exhilaration. She realized something incredible. The ship did not just respond to her hands, it responded to her mind. Her thoughts, her decisions, her courage, all amplified by the ship's systems. For the first time, she felt power that humans had been denied for centuries. The chase began. Alien patrol ships warped in from nearby sectors, scanning the asteroid ring. Their sensors flared, tracking the stolen vessel. Eliara's heart pounded, but she no longer felt fear. She felt possibility. Using instinct, creativity, and sheer audacity, she twisted the mythic ship through asteroid gaps, dodging laser blasts with maneuvers no alien pilot could predict. One drone closed in, firing a concentrated plasma beam. Eliara thought quickly. The ship reacted, bending space ever so slightly, sending the beam harmlessly into a nearby asteroid. Another drone fired, another, and yet the ship danced through them all, almost as if it was learning from her fear and turning it into strength. Hours, or was it minutes, passed in a blur of adrenaline and light. When the final patrol ship gave up, retreating to report the impossible, Eliara finally exhaled. Her hands shook, her breath came in ragged gasps, but she was alive. And more than that, she had a mythic ship at her command. The asteroid field was behind her now. The open expanse of space stretched ahead, filled with unknown dangers, alien fleets, and systems that humans were never meant to touch. And yet, Eliara felt ready. For the first time, humanity had a chance, not just to survive, but to thrive in the galaxy that had long underestimated them. As she looked at the control panels, the ship pulsed again, almost impatiently. Almost. Eager. "You're mine now," Eliara whispered. And the galaxy would never be the same. Eliara's hands hovered over the controls, not quite touching them. She didn't need to. The mythic ship was alive. It pulsed under her fingertips, almost as if it had been waiting for her all along. Every sensor, every panel, every flicker of light seemed to respond to her thoughts. Her heartbeat slowed slightly, not with fear, but with focus. Outside, the black expanse of space stretched endlessly, dotted with distant stars and the faint glimmer of planets. She knew the aliens would not let a human escape with a mythic ship unnoticed. They were already mobilizing fleets across nearby sectors, and once they realized what she had, there would be no turning back. But Eliara didn't care. She had a ship that could think, react, and even predict. She was human, underestimated, and now armed with the most powerful weapon in the galaxy. "Where do I even start?" she whispered to herself. Almost immediately, the ship responded, projecting holographic displays into her mind, not just showing data, but teaching her navigation through asteroid fields, energy manipulation, defensive maneuvers, all of it. She realized the ship was not just a tool, it was a partner, and partners demanded trust. Her first real test came sooner than she expected. Sensors flared as a small alien patrol fleet warped into the sector. 4 ships, sleek and deadly, cut through space with precise formation. They had come to reclaim the stolen vessel, and they were not sending a warning. They were sending a kill team. Eliara gritted her teeth. "All right, partner, Let's show them what humans can do. The ship pulsed again, almost impatiently. She felt it resonate with her determination. Then, with a smooth, fluid motion, it twisted the space around it, dodging the first wave of laser fire. The patrol ships fired again, but Eliara instinctively anticipated their moves, and the ship reacted even faster. Energy shields bent, plasma blasts reflected, and one of the enemy ships collided with an asteroid, sending it spinning into oblivion. Eliara couldn't help but grin. "You like that, don't you?" she whispered. The ship seemed to hum in response. It wasn't just responding, it was learning. Each alien move she predicted, each strategy she executed, made the bond between them stronger. Humans were chaotic, unpredictable. The aliens had always believed that meant weakness. But now, that same unpredictability, combined with the ship's precision, was lethal. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Space blurred as the patrol ships adapted, trying new tactics, firing coordinated barrages. Eliara's mind raced. She realized she didn't just have speed and firepower, she had creativity. Humans could invent on the spot, improvise, turn desperation into opportunity. And the ship could amplify it. With a sudden thought, Eliara manipulated the ship's energy core to project a decoy, a shimmering copy of the Mythic ship. The aliens fired blindly at it, their fleet splitting to follow the illusion. The real ship twisted around, striking from angles no alien had expected. Within moments, 2 patrol ships were disabled, one shredded by its own weapons misfiring in confusion, and the last retreated. Eliara leaned back, exhaling. The adrenaline surged, but she felt a deeper, almost spiritual connection with the ship. It was alive. It trusted her, and in return, it gave her power beyond imagination. But there was no time to celebrate. The ship's sensors picked up a massive energy signature approaching. A warship of a size and scale she had never seen in her life. Its hull was reinforced with exotic alloys. Its weapons could obliterate entire planets, and it was heading straight for her. "They really don't want me to have this, do they?" Eliara muttered. The ship pulsed in agreement. It shifted, weaving through an asteroid belt with impossible grace, dodging debris and energy blasts alike. Eliara realized the aliens were not just strong, they were predictable. They relied on brute force and overwhelming numbers, but humans could think differently. Creativity, cunning, and adaptability, that was humanity's true weapon. As they approached the massive warship, Eliara noticed a weakness. Its energy shields were concentrated at the front to defend against head-on attacks. The sides and rear were relatively unprotected, but approaching them directly would be suicidal. Then she smiled. The ship seemed to sense her plan, vibrating softly, as if in anticipation. Eliara manipulated the energy fields around the ship, creating a mirror-like reflection of a non-existent fleet in the distance. The alien warship detected the decoys and focused its firepower there, giving Eliara the opening she needed. With precise maneuvers, she slipped past the shields and struck at the vulnerable side. Explosions rippled across the enemy hull, and alarms screamed in panic. The warship tried to retaliate, but Eliara's improvisation kept her ahead. Lasers that would have incinerated her ship were bent away, energy pulses redirected, and in moments, the massive vessel was crippled, its engines failing. Eliara couldn't stop the rush of exhilaration. She had done what no human, or alien, thought possible. She had defeated a warship in a one-on-one confrontation, not by superior strength, but by sheer ingenuity and instinct. The victory, however, came with consequences. The alien empires were now fully aware of the human who had taken a mythic ship. Across the stars, fleets were being mobilized, communications were buzzing with urgency, and bounty hunters were being dispatched. Eliara was no longer a scavenger. She was a target, a threat, and a symbol. The ship pulsed again, softer this time, almost contemplatively. It seemed to whisper in her mind, "You are human. You are unpredictable. You are worthy." Eliara felt a thrill of pride. Humanity had long been underestimated, written off as weak and primitive. But now she was proof that creativity, courage, and adaptability were weapons no alien technology could fully anticipate. Humans were chaos made manifest, and in chaos, there was power. Night after night, Iliara practiced with the ship, learning its systems, testing its limits. She discovered she could manipulate energy shields to form barriers, redirect enemy fire, and even disrupt alien communications. She could anticipate fleet movements, almost as if the ship itself was whispering strategies in her mind. One day, while exploring a remote nebula, she encountered another fleet, not patrols this time, but scouts from a larger alien armada. They were vast, numerous, and heavily armed. Most humans would have fled. Eliara smiled. "Partner," she said, "time to show them what humans can do." The battle that followed was nothing short of spectacular. The Mythic ship danced through the void, dodging hundreds of laser blasts, energy torpedoes, and magnetic traps. Eliara's instincts guided the ship, and every move was amplified by the ship's incredible systems. She used decoys, ambushes, and clever feints to turn numbers into weakness. One by one, alien ships fell or retreated, unable to comprehend how a single human in a single ship could outmaneuver an entire fleet. After the dust settled, Eliara floated in silence among the wreckage. The galaxy was starting to notice. Humans were no longer insignificant. With the Mythic ship, they could think faster, act smarter, and strike harder than any alien power expected. She looked at the ship's interior, now quiet, almost serene. It was as if it knew the worst was not over. The aliens would come again. They always did. But she was ready. Humans were resilient, cunning, and now, armed with the impossible. As she set a course for uncharted space, Eliara whispered, "Let them come. They'll see what humans can do." And, somewhere in the depths of space, the Mythic ship pulsed in agreement, alive, aware, and ready to fight beside her. Eliara floated through the dark expanse of space, the Mythic ship humming softly around her. The stars stretched endlessly in every direction, but her mind was not on the beauty of the cosmos. It was on the alien fleets now hunting her, and more importantly, on the humans across the galaxy who had yet to understand their own potential. Since claiming the Mythic ship, she had become a legend. Stories of a human who outmaneuvered entire fleets traveled faster than light, whispered from system to system. Alien commanders were panicked, unsure how a single human could wield the most powerful vessel in the galaxy. They underestimated humans, and that mistake was about to cost them everything. Eliara plotted her course toward the Sonaris system, a hub of alien supply routes. Here, she could strike where it hurt the most: communications, logistics, and the morale of their fleets. The Mythic ship pulsed almost impatiently, as if sensing the importance of what lay ahead. "They don't understand us," Eliara whispered. "They never have, but maybe it's time they learned." The system came into view, a cluster of planets surrounded by asteroid belts and debris fields. Sensors flickered with dozens of enemy vessels, from scout ships to capital-class warships. The aliens had mobilized quickly, sending a fleet to intercept her before she could reach the supply lines. Eliara grinned. She had no intention of hiding. Humans were clever, adaptable, and unpredictable, and with the Mythic ship, she could turn even impossible odds into an advantage. The first engagement came swiftly. Patrol ships streaked toward her, weapons blazing. Eliara leaned forward instinctively, letting her mind connect with the ship. It responded like a living thing, twisting, spinning, and dodging in ways no human or alien had ever imagined. Energy beams bent around the hull, missiles disintegrated in midair, and the ship's decoy systems created a dozen phantom duplicates. One patrol ship managed to fire a plasma torpedo. Eliara thought quickly, diverting energy from the shields to the rear engines. The torpedo passed harmlessly, colliding with a nearby asteroid. She laughed softly. Humans had always been underestimated, and now she could prove that underestimation was fatal. The Mythic ship pulsed again. It seemed eager for the next challenge. Eliara scanned the system and saw the main fleet, their command vessel, massive and bristling with weapons, at the center. To approach it directly would be suicide. But humans didn't fight the way aliens expected. Humans adapted. Humans improvised. Humans thought. She activated the ship's cloaking and reflection systems, creating an illusion of a fleet attacking from a different vector. The alien fleet responded immediately, splitting their formation to meet the phantom threat. Eliara took advantage of the opening, maneuvering the ship through the narrow gaps between planets and asteroids. Every movement was precise, guided by instinct and the Mythic ship's almost sentient understanding of battle. Energy beams lanced through space, but the ship seemed to anticipate each one before it happened, weaving through fire like a dancer. Eliara realized that the Mythic ship amplified her creativity. The aliens had technology, numbers, and brute force, but humans had adaptability, cunning, and unpredictability. She struck the first blow at the alien fleet's supply lines. Small cargo ships and fuel depots were destroyed in coordinated precision attacks, crippling the fleet's ability to maintain formation. The aliens responded by sending in their assault wings, faster and more heavily armed ships designed to hunt and destroy small targets. Eliara smiled. "All right then, let's really show them." She used the Mythic ship's ability to manipulate energy fields, creating false gravitational anomalies in space. Alien ships collided, misjudging distances and trajectories, while others were trapped in energy bubbles that immobilized them temporarily. In the chaos, Eliara darted through the fleet, striking weak points, sabotaging systems, and retreating before they could respond. The aliens began to panic. Fleet communications were disrupted, sensors were jammed, and reports came in of ships being destroyed in ways no one could predict. Rumors of a human controlling a Mythic ship spread like wildfire. Across the galaxy, humans who had been quietly resisting alien oppression began taking risks. They sabotaged supply depots, disrupted patrols, and struck at alien outposts, inspired by the legend of Eliara. Humans were not just fighting, they were thinking like humans, exploiting weaknesses the aliens never considered. Creativity, ingenuity, and adaptability were now weapons, amplified by the symbol of the Mythic ship. Eliara realized she could escalate further. She activated the ship's advanced systems to intercept alien communications, sending false orders and creating confusion within the fleet. Alien ships began firing on each other, misidentifying targets, while Eliara's strikes grew more precise and devastating. The largest alien warship, the command vessel, finally engaged directly, its weapons fired in unison, designed to overwhelm any single ship. But Eliara had a plan. Using the Mythic ship's predictive systems, she anticipated every volley. She diverted energy, bent laser beams, and exploited weak points in the shields. With a sudden maneuver, she struck the command vessel's engine core. A massive explosion rocked the fleet, disabling several ships and sending debris scattering in the cockpit. Humans had turned the tide. One human, in one ship, had outsmarted an entire alien fleet. But victory was not complete. The aliens would regroup, and they would send more forces. Eliara knew that this was just the beginning. Humans needed to understand their power and their potential. They could not just survive, they could dominate if they dared. She set course for a hidden human settlement in the Orion Fringe, a place where humans had remained isolated, quietly resisting alien rule. There, she would show them what was possible. Humans needed inspiration, strategy, and leadership. And Eliara, with the Mythic ship, would give it to them. The journey was tense. Alien scouts were still in pursuit, and Eliara had to navigate through asteroid belts, nebulae, and gravitational anomalies. Each obstacle was an opportunity, each attack a test. The Mythic ship responded perfectly, bending energy, predicting enemy actions, and amplifying her instincts. During the long voyage, Eliara reflected on the truth she had discovered. Humans were not weak. They were underestimated, yes, but that made them dangerous. Their adaptability, unpredictability, and creativity were forces that no alien could fully control. And now, with the Mythic ship, she could amplify those traits across the galaxy. When she finally reached the hidden settlement, she found humans in hiding, scavenging, and barely surviving. Fear and resignation had kept them isolated for generations. But Eliara did not come to comfort them. She came to awaken them. She landed the Mythic ship in the center of the settlement. The massive vessel pulsed with energy, alive and aware. Humans gathered, wide-eyed, staring at the ship that had once been a forbidden myth. Eliara stepped forward, her presence commanding attention. "Humans," she said, her voice steady, carrying through the silent crowd. "We have been told we are weak, that we are insignificant, that we cannot touch the stars or control the powers of the galaxy." They lied. They underestimated us, and they will pay. The crowd whispered among themselves, doubt and hope mixing in their eyes. Eliara walked among them, touching consoles and displays that the mythic ship had projected. Energy pulsed beneath her fingers, a connection forming not just between her and the ship, but now with the humans watching. "This ship," she continued, "was forbidden for us. They said it was too powerful, too dangerous for humans. But it chose me, and I have learned its secrets. I have learned that humans are more than they believe. That we are not weak, that our minds, our courage, and our creativity are the greatest weapons in the galaxy." She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. Humans were listening, truly listening, for the first time in centuries. They had been suppressed, hunted, and oppressed, but the spark had ignited. "And now," Eliara said, raising her hand toward the stars, "we fight, not just to survive, not just to resist, but to take our rightful place among the stars. The aliens think they can control us. They think they are superior. They are wrong. We are human, and we are unstoppable." The settlement erupted in cheers, hope, flooding the faces of people who had almost forgotten what it felt like to believe in themselves. Eliara smiled. The mythic ship pulsed in response, almost as if agreeing. Humans were rising, but in the distance sensors picked up another fleet, larger, more organized, and more deadly than anything Eliara had faced. They had learned from her previous victories and were coming prepared. This would be the ultimate test. Eliara stood on the deck of the mythic ship, looking at the incoming enemy. Her fists clenched, her mind racing with strategy. Humans were not just about to fight. They were about to change the balance of the galaxy forever. And the mythic ship, alive and aware, pulsed as if to whisper, "Let them come." Eliara's eyes gleamed. "Yes," she said, "let them come." The stars stretched endlessly, but Eliara's focus was sharp. Ahead, the alien fleet loomed like a storm. Thousands of warships arranged in tight formation, bristling with weapons designed to annihilate anything in their path. At the center floated the command vessel, massive and impervious, or so the aliens thought. The mythic ship pulsed with energy, alive and aware, responding to Eliara's thoughts before she even acted. She had spent weeks preparing humans for this moment. The settlements she had inspired were now hubs of resistance, ready to strike where the aliens least expected. But the true battle would be here, in open space, where the fate of humanity and the galaxy would be decided. "They think they can control us," Eliara muttered, her eyes narrowing. "Let's show them what humans can do." The fleet advanced, energy weapons flaring and plasma torpedoes streaking across space. Their goal was simple: destroy the mythic ship, kill the human, and reclaim their honor. But Eliara had a plan. Humans were not machines. They were creative, unpredictable, and daring. And with the mythic ship, she had power no alien could fully comprehend. She activated the ship's cloaking and energy manipulation systems, bending light around the vessel to appear invisible. The alien fleet's sensors flared in confusion as decoy ships, phantoms created by the mythic ship, darted in multiple directions. The aliens fired blindly, destroying their own formations in panic. Eliara's mind raced. She could feel the ship's intelligence merging with hers, anticipating every threat, calculating every move. This was more than combat. It was a dance, a test of ingenuity. And humans had the advantage. Creativity was unpredictable. Courage was unstoppable. Adaptability was lethal. She struck first. Using the ship's energy-bending capabilities, she redirected a wave of plasma torpedoes into the command vessel's flanks. Explosions rippled across its hull, damaging engines and systems in ways no alien had foreseen. The fleet faltered, confusion spreading like wildfire. Then, Eliara's attention turned to the smaller ships. She unleashed a series of strategic ambushes, manipulating gravitational fields, creating false trajectories, and forcing the aliens into traps. One by one, their warships collided, misfired, or were destroyed by redirected energy blasts. Humans watching from nearby settlements saw flashes of light across space and knew that the impossible had become reality. One human was changing the tide of war, but the aliens were relentless. The command vessel retaliated with concentrated energy beams, slicing through decoys and firing in patterns meant to overwhelm her. Iliara's pulse quickened, but fear was replaced with focus. She anticipated their patterns, predicting movements no alien mind could calculate. The Mythic ship responded instantly, diverting energy, bending beams, and striking at the fleet's weak points with surgical precision. She realized something profound. Humans were not just fighting. They were thinking differently. The aliens relied on brute force and predictable strategy. Humans thrived on unpredictability, on improvisation, on turning chaos into advantage. Every move she made, every trick she executed, was amplified by the ship's systems, making humans a force no alien could predict or defeat. The battle raged for hours, the void of space alive with explosions, energy beams, and debris. Eliara's eyes never wavered. She coordinated attacks with humans in hidden settlements, orchestrating sabotage and diversionary strikes. Alien morale collapsed as stories of human ingenuity and unexpected victories spread across the fleet. The final moment approached. The command vessel, now crippled but still formidable, prepared to fire a superweapon capable of obliterating planets. Eliara's mind raced. She could not allow it to reach her human settlements, but a direct assault would be suicidal. She had one advantage. The Mythic ship could think in ways no alien could, creating strategies beyond comprehension. With a deep breath, Eliara executed the plan. She manipulated the energy fields around the fleet, creating a funnel that funneled the command vessel into a trap. The ship's decoys and gravitational distortions made it appear as if the human fleet was weak, vulnerable. The aliens took the bait. As the command vessel advanced, Eliara struck. Energy beams were redirected, engines disrupted, and internal systems overloaded. Explosions tore through the ship's hull, and its weapons malfunctioned catastrophically. In a final desperate move, it attempted to fire its superweapon, but Eliara anticipated it, bending the energy back into the vessel itself. The explosion was massive, obliterating the command ship and sending shockwaves across the fleet. The remaining alien ships faltered, retreating in disarray. Humans cheered from hidden stations, watching the legend unfold before their eyes. One human, in one ship, had outsmarted an entire fleet. Humanity had proven its worth. Eliara floated in the cockpit, the Mythic ship pulsing around her. She felt a surge of pride and understanding. This was more than victory. This was recognition. Humans had always been underestimated, oppressed, and dismissed. But now, every alien who had doubted them had witnessed the truth. Humans were adaptable, courageous, and brilliant. They were not to be controlled. They were to be respected. She set a course for the Outer Rim, sending signals to human colonies and settlements across the galaxy. The message was clear. Humans were no longer hidden, no longer weak. They were united, empowered, and ready to claim their place among the stars. As the Mythic ship sailed through the void, Eliara reflected on the journey. She had started as a scavenger, forbidden from touching the most powerful vessel in the galaxy, but through courage, ingenuity, and the bond with the ship, she had turned the tide of war. She had shown humans their potential and reminded the galaxy that underestimating humanity was a grave mistake. The Mythic ship pulsed once more, almost as if in agreement, a living testament to the power and potential of its human pilot. Eliara smiled. Humans had risen from the shadows, and nothing, not alien fleets, not empires, not centuries of oppression, could stop them now. For the first time in history, humans were not just surviving, they were ascending. The galaxy would remember this day, the day a single human defied the impossible, the day humanity claimed its rightful place among the stars. Eliara looked out at the stars, her eyes bright with determination. She knew the challenges were far from over. There would always be threats, always be enemies who doubted human strength. But humanity had learned a truth that no one could take away. Ingenuity, courage, and adaptability could overcome any obstacle. And with the mythic ship at her side, Eliara was ready to lead humanity into a future where they were no longer hidden, no longer underestimated, and no longer forbidden from the stars. The galaxy was theirs, and humanity had only just begun.